Yo, it's your boy, the Tatumeister, and welcome back to the road to the New Mutants! Woo! Man, exciting, isn't it? Before I get started, you've all been waiting for this moment. Without further ado, you know what? I'm gonna let Castleman take this game. Send your Castleman right away. It's your show.
Hey, I'm Castleman, and I love X-Men First Class. It's possibly my favorite film in this franchise that specifically has X-Men in the title, and only Days of Future Past challenges that. There are so many incredible things about this film. Matthew Vaughn's perfectly orchestrated direction gives this film so much energetic pacing. The awesomely vibrant yellow and blue costumes are such a breath of fresh air after the X-Men were stuck in black leather for 3 movies. The casting of these characters is unbelievably spot on. The 1960s setting is so inspired and adds to the overall atmosphere, along from the Cuban Missile Crisis being a fascinating setting to have a final battle. But the biggest thing many people talk about with First Class, and what I'm going to discuss today, is the relationship between Eric and Charles, and it's for good reason. The way that this film explores their differences, their similarities, and their friendship is truly the heart of the movie, and what anchors the entire plot. Any qualms I have with certain aspects of the story, like certain underdeveloped or prematurely killed off mutants, are completely overwritten by how amazing this central relationship is. Why is it so amazing? First off, the movie starts off by showing the differences in their childhoods. One grows up in a comfortable, rich setting, the other is in a concentration camp. Charles comes from privilege, Eric comes from pain. This brilliantly sets up their different approaches to mutant rights. As someone who is part of the rich side of society, never truly facing societal oppression beyond learning to control his own power, Charles believes in mutants eventually being accepted. But Eric has seen the worst of humanity, the Nazis. He has no optimism about his place in the world. He just wants revenge. That's why when they finally meet and become friends, they bounce off each other perfectly. Even the 2 main musical themes by Henry Jackman represent this relationship. The theme titled First Class is heroic and optimistic, representing the attitude that Xavier brings to the film. However, Magneto's theme is darker, more intense, representing the anger he has inside him. The one time the First Class theme is used to represent an action of Magneto is the sublift sequence, because the ability to use his power in that way was helped out by the previous training montage, where he had a discussion with Xavier about truly amplifying what he can do. Rage and Serenity represent the 2 sides of this relationship, and they truly worked best when they were able to come together. But sadly, such things were not made to last. That's one of the greatest things about First Class. After the entire trilogy of films where Magneto and Charles were shown to be enemies, seeing their previous friendship in full effect, and even more, not wanting it to end, is simply incredible. The tragedy is felt so much more. First Class nailed what was important, this incredible relationship. And that's why I love it so much.
But I don't trust you. Eric, there will be no turning back!
That was Castleman's segment. I know, it was pretty great. Now, if you're wondering why some of his parts were a little weird, it's because he messed up at a couple parts. I was going to edit them all out, but I'm like, man, that's going to take forever, so I just slipped a couple of them in, if you're wondering about that. But now for my review, my part of the review. So, woo! X-Men First Class. Yeah. By the way, Castleman didn't submit a video. I had to edit all that together. So I won't be doing any clips for this segment. I usually would, but I'm like, well, I played all the clips in that segment, so what's the point? So, X-Men First Class. So yeah, it's a pretty awesome movie. Honestly, I don't think it's the best X-Men movie. Don't get me wrong. I think Days of Future Past and a few other movies are better in this series, but it's definitely my 5th favorite. It's an excellent movie. Let me tell you what, guys. Now, funny story about me in this movie. When I first watched this movie, I wasn't, like, very fond of it, let's just say. I wasn't, like, super into it. I watched it when I was, like, 16, 15. I'm 23 now. And when it first came out, like, in 2011, was it? 8 years ago? Was it 2011? I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it later. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was all that in a bag of chips. But nowadays, I actually really appreciate and respect this movie a lot. It's a very great prequel / reboot movie with an excellent cast and an excellent director, Matthew Vaughn. It has such a certain style to it that it's very much the most unique of the movies. It's very much its own thing. It's very great for that reason. The style and the pacing is very good. The writing is very good. The story itself is very good. If I were to give flaws to the movie, I mean, I do admit some of the flaws are mainly just the fact that they have fodder characters in this movie, like that adapting mutant that just dies, and then the freaking flyer, whatever, Banshee. Like, they're all great characters, but they're not important to the overall narrative of the series. This movie definitely feels like a standalone movie in a way, but it's also part of the series. It's still important, I guess. Like Castleman said, it's mostly the Eric and Magneto relationship that matters to the series, that matters the most in this movie. Of course, Raven's great, like Mystique. Of course, Jennifer Lawrence, hello. Really, all the actors are great. There's no complaints there. I just feel like some of the writing and story could have been touched upon, especially with some of the characters. It seemed to be mostly a Magneto-Eric movie in a lot of respects. It's not really focused on the X-Men that much. I'll get into that later when I talk about Apocalypse, but this is an X-Men movie, but it's not an X-Men movie 100%, if that makes sense. You know, it's mostly an Eric Magneto movie. Charles and Magneto. I say Eric and Magneto. It's a Charles and Magneto movie, very much a Magneto origin story, and I love that for this reason. It's focused on them, and I really like that fact. I mean, I like how this movie's focused on Charles and Magneto. The next movie's focused on everybody, like pretty much the timelines and the future, what we can make of it. And the Apocalypse is like the Dark Knight Rises, which is like the most epic. I'll get to that movie later, but this whole trilogy, the second trilogy is really great. It's First Class, Days of Future Past, and of course X-Men Apocalypse. This whole trilogy is great. I think this trilogy is way better than the first trilogy, X-Men 1, 2, and 3, Last Stand. I know that's a controversial opinion. I know some people aren't going to agree with me there. But this whole trilogy is great. This first movie in this trilogy is definitely the Batman Begins of this trilogy, and it's very great. I very much appreciate it. But overall, guys, I really don't have much to say about it. It's just a really great movie. I mean, from the submarine scene to him stopping the missiles to him throwing the coin through his head. Like, it was freaking amazing. I mean, what else can be said? This movie's so enjoyable and great and fun to rewatch. I mean, there's just so much great stuff about it. There's really not much to say other than that, so I might as well just get to my rating. X-Men First Class? You know what? Let's give it the 9.2. You know, I just think X-Men First Class is great. It's so damn great. For real. For Rizzo. It ain't perfect. It's definitely got some weird story elements in it. And some of the pacing can be a little fast. Maybe not enough Wolverine. Maybe not enough action in some aspects, maybe. I don't know. But hey, there's a reason why everybody loves this movie so much. It's freaking great. Awesome first movie to this trilogy. Gotta admit. Honestly wish Matthew Vaughn directed the whole trilogy. I wonder how that would have turned out. I don't know. I'm kind of glad Bryan Singer came back to make the second and third one, like Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, because honestly, I kind of really love those movies. I'm honestly kind of glad he came back. Not saying he's a perfect person, but he's a good person. Anyway, that's my review of X-Men First Class. Whoa! Yeah! So, do not worry though, the next video will be faster. So, that's all I really gotta say. What else can I say? It's a good freaking movie! Yeah, that's it everybody. Containing my stories. Signing out.